Hi, I'm Jeff LaBelle with Remax Premier. I'm a residential realtor and have been for 15 years on as a full-time basis. And I also, my wife and I, are Heritage Hunt residents. Been here about 6 years. And when I'm out and about and talking to people or over at the clubhouse, usually, as a matter of fact, even if I'm somewhere else and somebody finds out I'm a realtor, one of the first questions they'll ask me is, what's the market like? What's going on? Here in Heritage Hunt, not only they ask about that, but they ask about the price of the homes, valuations. They get into a lot of questions to ask me, and I'd be glad to answer them, though some do require some research for them. So what I thought I'd do is really bring all of that together and provide this information so that you can have it. It's, a matter of fact, some of it, quite a bit of it, you're probably not even aware of. And this is the part that I think is important. That's why I called it exposed, because people really don't get to see or understand everything that's going on in the background. So let's go ahead and describe a little bit. We'll be talking about the secrets, facts and unknowns, and also behind the home sales and trends. So let's do that right away. And what we're looking at is the breakup of how I've done the look of the homes. I took detached homes, I put them all together, whether they're executive homes or whatever. They're all attached homes that we're looking at. We'll be looking at the condos, and then we'll be looking at attached homes. The reason I call it attached homes is some people call them villas, patio homes. I had somebody who listed their home as a townhouse when I was doing the research. So instead of trying to figure that out, we just went ahead and put together all the attached homes in the community. So right now we're going to go ahead and look at single family homes. I'll start from the bottom up, and we'll talk first about that. This is we're looking at a year's worth of information. So when I bring the information up, you'll see that's 1 year's worth of data. There were 60 homes sold last year in that period of time, 60 single family homes. And also want to talk about some of the hidden and unknown areas that I just briefly mentioned in the intro. And then we'll talk about what the home's selling for, what's happening right now. Again, that's the type of thing that I'm asked about all the time. The reason I brought this up is I wanted to just start by describing what a comparative or comparative market analysis is, or CMA. Most people use the acronym CMA. It's comparative market analysis. Now, in what we're going to be looking at today is not a valuation, so I didn't break it down to square footage, number of bathrooms, and so on. So we're going to be looking at in total, because I really want to talk about the things that go on in a sale of a home and what happens during that process. So the first thing is we're going to be looking at is, again, the single family homes. There were 60 sold. If we look at the top area, we're looking at the list price. That list price, in a sense, is kind of not necessarily what the listing price was. This is the last listing price. It could have been relisted a number of times. Prices coming down 5,000, 10,000. There's one that came down quite a bit more than that. Then the sold price. So if you're comparing the list price and the sold price, that's one thing. But if you're going to compare it to what you initially listed it as, and we'll look at that in a moment, that's quite a bit different. The next column mentions DOMP. Now, that's an important acronym for you to know. There's a DOMM, and the difference is the DOMM is when you put the system in, it starts tracking time. If you were to take it off the market and say, well, let's take it off the market for a month. It's been on the market for a long time, and I want to reset the amount of time. Well, if it's out of the system for a month or two, what's going to happen is when you go back and put it in, it's still going to have the contiguous numbers. So that's what the DOMP is. So it may say, I don't know how many days, there's one for 185 days. It may say on the system that the DOMM, when you're looking at it from Zillow or Trulia or other sources, it may say 20 days. You care about what the DOMP is. And the reason is your buyers are going to think about it and worry about it. There are a couple of homes. There's one a little bit further down. It's 218 days that was on the market in total. may have been in segments, but it was 218 days. The first thing that I think you would probably ask is, why? What's wrong? What's our problem with that house? Oftentimes, the buyers won't even look at the house. They'll have other choices, other selections, so why bother? So one of the things that I will do is talk with you when we list a home. If for some reason we're going out into that period of time, there's some things that we can do, and one of those is explain what happened. We'll try to bring the people in, but that is an important part to be thinking about. How long is it staying on the market, and how's that going to affect my sale and the amount of dollars that we'll be able to get from the system or get from selling it. So let's go ahead and take a look more into actual specific ones. And I went ahead and I took a shot at looking at the breeders. Oh, it's a Breeders' Cup. Sorry about that. Looked at the Breeders' Cup, and you can see the dollar amount for the listing. The last list was 484, almost 485. It sold for 479, and so you're looking at it and you go, well, okay, it's less than I wanted, but that's what the price is. That's probably not what the price was, not really what the person who put this on the market was looking for. And I'll describe how you know that in a little while. But that home was on the market for 235 days. That's a problem. Okay? Later on, you'll see probably what happened as a result of that problem. Take a look at the last two columns. One is, or the last three columns. The first is about the date of the contract. The next is the date of when it's sold, and then the subsidy, if there was a subsidy with it. In this one, there's a small subsidy of $450. Subsidies are people think, well, I'm going to give up $450, or I'm going to give up whatever that number may be, and maybe $2,000 for, usually it's for settlement for the buyer. And the reason that it's not a bad thing is that sometimes buyers need that cash for closing, and that's one way of doing it. Doesn't mean that you're giving away the house. Your net needs to be the net. And so let's say our net, we want it to be $450,000. That's what we're shooting for. And whether we play with the subsidy or not, it's still, we want it to have a total net of the $250. So sometimes the price will be escalated some to be able to provide the subsidy. Again, that's all part of negotiation. I'll take a moment to talk about negotiation. It's in a big part of whether you're buying or selling, having somebody to help you with that. I'm going to give a little background of myself. I owned a technology business for about 20 years. I assure you that during those 20 years I owned that business, and I grew it to be fairly large. There was a lot of negotiating, all kinds, with staff, with clients, with vendors, all kinds of negotiating. I'm really good at it, and we built this company to be, at the end, an international company. When I sold the business, there was really negotiation, and I think I did a pretty good job on it. Obviously, I hope I did. I think I did. So I've also been a realtor for 15 years, and in every case, we get involved with negotiating. It doesn't mean it's yelling and screaming. It doesn't mean that we're getting down and into the mud. It's more of how do we handle it. Some people think I'm laid back, and I am. In my personal life, I try to have less stress and relax. However, when it comes to working with you and representing you, I'm a good negotiator, and I can help make sure that we get the highest price possible.